Good morning from Monemvasia in Greece, just off the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Monemvasia in Greek means one approach, single approach, and there is a single approach. The Tombolo, we're going to cross over the Tombolo just a little bit, just a little natural land bridge. This is the longest continuously inhabited fortress island in all of Europe, probably from Minoan times, but definitely from the 6th century AD. Monemvasia connected by the Tombolo, the natural land bridge, from the mainland in the Peloponnese. Here we're on the Peloponnese Peninsula. Monemvasia has been continuously inhabited since the 6th century AD. And this town not far from Sparta is where people who lived in Sparta throughout the Roman times were relocated after the fall of Sparta and the fall of the Roman Empire. So shortly we're going to make our way over to the Tombolo and head on up into Monemvasia. As we approach the Tombolo, the wind is picking up because we've got water on both sides. Meter Tombolo, or natural land bridge, connecting Monemvasia with the Peloponnese. Again, Monemvasia means single approach, basically one way on and off the road. Up at the top, upper town, the Castro. Now on the other side of the single entrance Tombolo, we find one of the smallest gas stations in Greece on one of the smallest fortress islands that's inhabited and has regular traffic coming to it. But we're now on the island of Monemvasia, the first restaurant, gas station, and shipping agency. Beware of falling rocks. There's a big one right there, and we're going to get a little closer to it and then go up it as much as we're able to. A beautiful day just on the coast of the Peloponnese, and an important historic site. We're about 15 minutes up the road, and we just came across signs for a footpath that is off of the road, which is not necessary. But it leads up to that upper gate above, and this is the wall of the Castro, town on the island. Very windy, so I apologize for the wind noise. And we're headed up to that archway and into the darkness before we come out on the other side. So a map of the old town on Monemvasia, and we are here in this platia or square by Elkomenos Christos, the largest of the churches, which is presently undergoing some renovation. The dome on the church was funded by the Ottoman government originally as a reward for the occupants not giving in to attempts for Venetian conquest. And here, an archaeological museum from what had been the mosque and the seat of the outside. We just made it through a labyrinth of little tourist shops and whatnot on the little pathways, and there's an upper and a lower pathway, so we're going to do some more exploration before we head up to the Castro way at the top. Here we have the ruins of the Church of St. Anna, probably built in the Byzantine era and then converted from a single aisle to a two-aisle double vaulted church during the second period of Venetian rule. The Venetians and the Turks traded this back and forth for about 350, almost 400 years, until the War for Greek Independence of 1821. And unfortunately, this, like much else on the island during the Greek Revolution and the subsequent Civil War, was destroyed and has yet to be rebuilt. Evidently, there was a cistern there and a well in the destroyed portion of their palace top of. Here there are multiple pathways up to upper little alleys and a few walkways up to the upper town or the Castro above. So we're just going to continue on these little upper pathways. Here can't be helped. Yet another Byzantine era, maybe Venetian church, obviously with more recent reconstructive efforts owing to, again, the various conflicts and natural disasters that have befallen this fortress island. And just like that, in 30 to 40 mile an hour gusty winds, we've made it to a Byzantine era stairway and various walkways and foundations of little houses that are along the eastern wall and eastern bastion of Monemvasia, the lower town. So we're going to go up the volcanic rock and take a look. I'll do the best I can in post to deal with the wind noise, but I know it's going to be pretty bad. I thought about bringing the microphones and said, no, that's too much to deal with today. Well, as soon as we got onto the land and the wind was blowing like it was, I realized my mistake. So here is the inside of the eastern bastion, and there's a little guardhouse room up there that appears to be locked. A lot of this has been saved thanks to private investment. So much of what you see here, the ruins, was rebuilt in recent times by private investors as part of their vacation resort destination. But a beautiful look out at the Mediterranean. I'm going to take a walk down. We'll go down to the lower part of the lower town in a little while, but I think the focus is now going to be trekking on the path that goes straight up to the remains of the castle and the fortifications of the upper town. So we've now come back to about the area of the main church on Monemvasia, and we have the stairway, the beginning of the stairway to the upper town. So off we go. And we'll be able to see a lot of interesting new and older, restored and unrestored architectural details. A lot of repairs done, and a lot of structures that are pretty, but maybe gardens where once there were houses when people lived in this fortress town. But there's evidence of Byzantine, Venetian, and Ottoman throughout all these constructions. As we continue up, and you know how I love stairs, I forgot to comment on that in the first punch. Forgive me if I make the odd wrong turn and end up at a dead end. For those who watched my videos before, you'll know that's not an uncommon occurrence, but it's part of this kind of adventure traveling that we do, exploring without a guide. In this case, I am your guide, but I can only do these stairs one day. And forgive the heavy breathing in addition to the wind noise. It looks like we're on the right track. We're sheltered from the wind up here a little bit. The ruins of either a small chapel or a medium-sized house. My money's on a chapel, given the double vaulted construction that you can still see, as well as the remnants of some iconography. Let me see if I can get a little closer to it. Actually, quite beautiful. No markings, no signs. Up we go. Here we have the sign to the archway and the walkway on the western wall that I mentioned earlier. That walkway goes down and stays on the hillside, going through the upper portal of the western wall and thus back to the Gafiera, the bridge, the Tombolo, whereas upper town is still another 90 meters up, which is not far. Though I think it might be a little steeper, a little more treacherous, looking at our slippery marble and other rocks here that make up the path. Evidently not a lot of our group with the ship, or the local tourists who came in for the day or however long they're staying, driving in from the Peloponnese, are up here today. And here an archway up into the upper town. And more stairs. More and more. Very slippery. Like I've said in lots of different installations of this, wear good supportive shoes, sandals and so on, flats. You'll slip, you'll fall. Worst case, you'll just be uncomfortable. Hopefully there's a reward, at least a bottle of water at the top of this. And we're really making good headway now. I think they meant that it was 90 meters straight up, not 90 meters in length. I don't know. But it is quite the climb. Certainly rivals the Acropolis of Hermopoli on Syros. And it's certainly a little bit more attractive, particularly coming down. Town beneath us. Just for reference, the church with the big dome with the scaffolding around it. We were in that square, or platea, just a little while ago. Definitely no disabled access to Apopoli, and I would say limited access even to the lower part. So here we're on the central gate complex. Pause it if you want to read the sign. Where are we? We come out of the tunnel and the remains of another single vaulted church, anonymous church. A great view from the anonymous, if not eponymous, church. And the ruins of much in the other part of the upper town, much of which was abandoned during Ottoman rule, and certainly by the time of Greek independence. And maybe someday, if it's not now private property or the property of the Greek state, it could be restored, which Lower Town was, because as I understand the history of this place, a lot of that looked like the rubble. You can see it behind those houses there. Greatly resembles that here in the upper town. So we're going to take more of a look at that. So we're still within the castle, Castro. And there is some restoration work going on here. Again, I don't know whether it's the Greek state or the church, which is practically the same thing, or if it's private enterprise that's slowly starting to work on the Apopoli of Monemvasia. To my mind, this unrestored portion, not just made into resort land, even though a lot of it lays in ruins, and those ruins aren't particularly old, is still very, very interesting. We see we have power up here, maybe just for lights that display this at night, make it look pretty. But look at the grandscape of the ruins here as we look down the walls and the rock and the remnants of civilization. I read somewhere that, I think it was at the time of the Greek War of Independence and the subsequent Civil War, that 650 people lived here. And I doubt greatly that 650 people live here on the island anymore. Maybe there's more than that in the town, Monemvasia Beach, Paralia, Monemvasia, which is on the other side of the well, where we first started this video. continue ever higher, as there's a church, I think it's St. George's, Agios Georgios. Again, probably the remnants either of a church or maybe even a municipal building. Probably not a house with a vaulted roof. But then again, we have little vaulted roofs in certain of these structures. And generally all in a state of never having been restored, just left as they were. Amazing, even though this is kind of an out-of-the-way place. What beautiful views from up here. Really interesting that a lot of it has been preserved just this way. So let's see how we go. I think this will be a little easier going. Again, very likely formerly a church. So maybe this was a shrine and this was the church at the moment, because there's a sign here. IKEA house. Once had 2 levels, 2-pitch roof, vaulted ground floor. Building and the additions date back to post-Byzantine times, and then it was military housing for the guard. So that's that right there. Not a church, but a 2-level house that had a vaulted lower floor, ground floor, and then was later barracks for likely Ottoman, maybe for a time Venetian, and more than likely Greek defenders. Little niche. And here we're actually in the house at the 2nd level. So there is enough of that which remains here. So the roof obviously is gone. We have a great vantage point. So not only barracks, but maybe a guardhouse as well. Potential activities such as an invasion. And down below, the other way we could have come. And then again, I believe it's St. George's, so we're going to head over there. If only I can find my way out. It wasn't too difficult, not too difficult. Fine, there. Over to here. And here the church has kept things up. Can't imagine that there's a lot of activity up here, regular worship services, but it is in lovely shape. Maybe a monastery or a retreat. We'll see, because it is a sign. Amongst some of the other ruins that you see there, here we have a little platea, a little square. Remnants of the town which once surrounded it. And then the town, still part of the upper town, now below us, but much higher there than the lower town that we climbed up from. Oh, St. Sophia's, Hagia Sophia. Not St. Sophia's, but St. Sophia. An octagonal dome church, 12th century, sculpture, decoration, wall paintings. It was a mosque for 150 years of Suleiman. Venetians turned it into a monastery. then again a mosque, and then Orthodox from 1821 on. Unfortunately, it does not appear to be open today. We just missed it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today, unfortunately, is Wednesday. So if you come to Monemvasia on a long weekend, it should be open. We'll do a little walking around it. See if we can't find the highest point at the top of this rock, and then we'll start heading back down. See if there isn't anything we missed along the way. But we're at a point where there is an antenna. Always a good sign. And the beautiful backside, Hagia Sophia. Over at the mainland. American children behaving badly. A lot of volcanic evidence in this rock, obviously predating any civilization here, except for maybe Minoan. The Minoans on Crete, and basically their counterparts on Thera, Santorini, perished in a giant volcanic explosion of Thera in about 1600 BC. And that affected a lot of that civilization as far away as Heraklion, which is on the southern side of Crete. So I thought it important to mention, because I just did a little detective work after basically a long stretch climbing up the stairs and describing what I thought I knew. In fact, that in the distance is the Castro. So I think we probably need to find a way up there. It doesn't seem to be a direct path from here to there, but we're going to see if there isn't. It would be all through those ruins. The confusion came from that all the town, both the lower and the upper, here on Monemvasia, are called, at least on the map that I have, Castro. So obviously the lower part wasn't a castro, it's a fortress or a fortified city, a walled city. And we came up into a gate that looked very much like a castle. It made sense, castro. And as you walked in, it was a frurio, or fortress. So let's see if on the off chance we can't make it up to the castro. Looking back at the Apopoli and headed up to the Castro on a rather rugged pathway. So what do I think of Monemvasia? Well, I've got a little less wind, and I know other people on this path. This is a hidden gem. It has been restored as a tourist destination. It is 4 hours from Athens by car, maybe even quicker. I haven't done it myself. We came here by ship, it's 90 nautical miles. So it's a real smooth ride down from Peninsula overnight. If you happen to be on a cruise that serves that. Hopefully the wind is now at my back, though it's blowing around. But Monemvasia, rugged gem on the Peloponnese, full of history, and we're going to go see a little bit more of that history right now. I'm starting to think that Anonymous Church is a chain of non-denominationals or a new denomination. Kidding. This is another single vaulted little Byzantine chapel here in the ruins of the Apopoli, closer to the Castro. And the next thing I love, after lots of stairs, is a really rocky path of volcanic rock. Not easy to traverse. Again, great shoes. These new Merrells that I bought are not even half as good as my old ones. I've been wearing them for less than a week, and they're breaking down to the inside. So they're going back. Thankfully, I have 2 pairs. This year I developed a little bit of an issue with my heel, and I haven't been doing as much walking or traveling, and I finally got in to see a podiatrist, and I got a cortisone shot, and I think I'll have another one. It's almost gone, but it has slowed me down. I'm a little more out of breath than usual. As we inch ever closer up the rocks. Next time I tell you that I'm nearing the top, somebody kick me. We are getting closer. A little turn off to a house, or maybe a guardhouse for the Castro. And really, we're getting very close to it. Down below the Apopoli, Hagia Sophia. And I thought that would be close to the top. Another path down, probably closer to the western wall. Feels good, but then we got to come back down. Sometimes that's more dangerous than going up. There's the width of the pathway. Imagine being a shepherd up here, living your whole life in the shadow of the ruins of that castle. Likely post-Byzantine in origin. And I've hit, but it's a little bit of a dead end. So I think I'm going to try to traverse that rock there and get up right on top of it. So now, just coming in to Monemvasia is one of the, I believe, Sea Cloud ships, 4-masted, under engine power at the moment, but they do sail, and that is a luxury cruise line. I don't think there's 100 people on it, so before the fewer than 100 passengers of the Sea Cloud even get to the island, we have made it up above these rocks that I think only goats and the odd goat herder could have gotten up. Now, we've probably had some washout over the last few hundred years. And undoubtedly, I came up the wrong way, but it adds to the fun. And somebody made a sign up here, so they had to have got some equipment up here to make a sign. The ruins of a tower, and again a guardhouse or a chapel on these walls. Not much remains of the Castro. Citadel Acropoli, Byzantine fortress, square and plan, towers at all four corners. So there's a tower there. I think it's missing where that little chapel is, and we'll walk around some more. Rectangular vaulted roofed building erected, used as a munitions store into the time of the Second World War. So no doubt the Germans were here. In post-Byzantine times, the tower, probably that one, was converted into a windmill. And then the ornamental brickwork, and you'll see this on Byzantine buildings of this era. Theta, Pi, Omicron, Delta, Theodore, Porphyrogenitos, the despot. And he was the last Greek ruler prior to Ottoman and Venetian and Ottoman rule in the very end of the Byzantine era. But very interesting up here. Great view down to the ship I came in on. Sort of a relative perspective there. We have gone from the beach town there on the arc of that inner harbor, across the Tombolo, and then up into the lower city, uphill, and then up the very steep stairs, and then steep paths to reach this point. And we look down at the hill below us, where the Tombolo, in the direction of the Tombolo, the road, the Monemvasia, going back to the beach town and the mainland. More ruins still. So you can see really how 600 plus people actually did live here, and they weren't all crammed in together at one time prior to various bombardments by the same Venetian general, not Moroni, because I always think of him as that because the Greeks call him the moron. His other notable accomplishment, if you will, was shelling the Acropolis of Athens and hitting the munition stores therein in the Parthenon, which was what blew the Parthenon to smithereens in 1687. So the Greeks don't have a lot of love for the Ottomans. Similarly, they do not have a lot of love for the Venetians. And there really is no Venetian Empire anymore. There isn't an Ottoman Empire anymore. But I think the animosities, particularly towards the Turks, still stand today. Let's go around, because I found myself in a dead end here, and we'll go see what else there is to be explored in the Castro before I find my way back down, hopefully along an easier path. Well, though very impressive from the outside, at least in appearance, all that's left are the exterior walls and that little munitions depot building, because we are inside the Castro, inside the fortress, and really it's just surrounded by a bunch of natural rock formations. So it's hard to say how it was laid out, because it seems almost implausible unless I'm not understanding it thoroughly, which is also very possible. But what we have up here at the very top of Monemvasia is a ruined castle and a great view. A little bit different perspective as we come down from the Castro in this direction. And the ruins of houses and buildings in the upper town, the Peloponnese. We are still above Hagia Sophia, which is over that rise what I thought would be the high point, and it was obviously coming down this very steep path with a lot more quick elevation changes, so I've been careful to use both hands for balance. But I think we're coming to a little bit of a flattening out part here where footing's going to get a little bit better, but you can see how it's just still a little bit unsteady. Again, a lot of volcanic rock and probably man-made destruction of a pathway that was probably a lot more passable at one time. And of course you've got erosion and everything else at play. But we're going to come down into the Apopoli and then just downstairs rather than rather treacherous rocky pathways, with some exceptions. There was that slippery marble earlier. But the unspoiled beauty of Monemvasia's upper town and the potential that it has to be something really terrific. Maybe not just as a tourist destination, though it is kind of impractical on this island with just one rather narrow two-lane road and fortress entrances to be a whole lot more than that. I think a good contrast for what this could be versus what it is, and the first impression I actually had when I walked through the first gate was Lindos on Rhodos, and we're going to be in Rhodes in just a little while, and we may be able to do some coverage of Lindos, which is different, and it is part of the contiguous island rather than a tiny little island in and of itself. Here, one of the possibly best preserved structures is a cistern. Pardon my bad footing here. And here evidently was the best walkway up to the citadel, though this side directs you in that orientation. I thought that walk was harder than the one that I took up to the citadel. So there's a variety of different ways. Whatever historic board runs this, be it Greek state or something in the local municipality, could probably use to update some of their signs. But here we're on top of structures that are not completely collapsed and probably have a lot more potential for being fixed up. But again, as we were talking about the infrastructure, not just the road in, but also any way to get a vehicle up here, a new road would have to be built, and I'm sure that would be prohibitively expensive. Continuing down rather rocky stairs. Well, some of our last looks from the Apopoli, a mausoleum, cisterns, and remnants of guard posts along this outer wall here. Sorry, I turned around the wrong way. A lot of potential here. I'm gonna head back down and eventually out and back to the ship before much longer, but first I think I'm gonna go get myself some much needed refreshment. Thanks for watching Travel with Chip. Please subscribe, share, appreciate all your support, and we're gonna do a lot more videos here this summer while we're in Greece and Turkey. Yet again, a lot of different topics, a lot of different places, but please do also see our past videos. I worked very hard to bring them to you, and I work just as hard to bring you lots more. Again, thanks for watching.